So, we've heard that you want to hit the open road and travel full-time as a full-time RVer. That's what we heard. We heard you got big dreams to go big places and do lots of traveling. But then you talk to your family, you talk to your friends, you know how it goes. They say a few negative things. Then you go online and there are all these questions, negative here, negative there, and you're like, oh my gosh, is it even worth it anymore to hit the road? Is it like it used to be? Is it worth my time and effort to do this kind of thing? Well, I tell you what, if you just give us a few minutes, just a few, we're going to cover all of those big nasty questions, and we're going to tell you the truth. We're going to give you the pros and the cons and give you awesome information, exciting stuff. And if you stick around to the very end, we'll even share with you our personal story. We've been at this for 4 years. Now, would we rather have gone back and not do this because it was a huge waste of our lives, should have done something else 4 years ago, or would we go back and do it all over again just how we did it the last time? I'm telling you, stick around, we'll tell you everything.
Is going full-time worth it? I mean, isn't it getting like really crowded?
Well, it is, and that depends on what we're talking about. There's overcrowding at campgrounds or boondocking spots, and there's overcrowding in like national parks and attractions. National parks are very, very busy. It's one of the big reasons why we just don't go to them. There are so many beautiful places, y'all, that we have been to that I think very well could be a national park, but aren't. So there are ways to get around that if you want to see spectacular scenery, God's creation, or even amazing man-made attractions and stuff.
And then it's all about shoulder season. Some places don't really have a shoulder season, or it's very short.
Yeah.
So for example, if you really want to experience Florida, why don't you go in the heat of the summer? Although in the summertime, you've got to worry about, you know, the kids are out of school and stuff like that. And that could be crowded, but that's usually for the beaches and maybe the theme parks. But as far as the RV parks a lot of them cut their rates in the summertime, because why? A lot of the snowbirds who like to go to Florida during the wintertime, they're not in Florida in the wintertime.
And so they need the income, so they need people to stay there.
And vice versa. If you want to camp in the snow, or maybe places that might not get snow, but they get cold temperature and you want to do some winter camping, then you could do that. And we've had friends that have went up and done Yellowstone in the winter. We saw the pictures of them in the snow and stuff like that.
You could also go, if you want to go to some really high congestion national parks and or beaches or something like that, go as early in the morning as you can stand it. The earlier you get there, the more people you're going to beat to that location, in terms of parking, in terms of getting a good spot on the beach, in terms of finding a good hiking trail, seeing all the attractions, finding the geyser, scouting some buffalo. Whatever you're doing, do it early in the morning, because not everybody's an early riser.
And y'all are probably thinking, well, you know, our campgrounds, you know, full and crowded and stuff. Like I said, it's all dependent on the seasons and stuff and what area you want to go in. And that might come to planning too. If you really want to go to Yellowstone, for example, in the summertime in July, it's going to be busy, but you'll probably have to plan and book way in advance for that.
And now some national parks take reservations and all that stuff. The more in advance you can do that, the better off you'll be. When it comes to campgrounds, let's say Corps of Engineer campgrounds, state park campgrounds, look for cancellations. There are services online now that will enable you to, well, they will search for you for a cancellation.
That's true.
They will search for an opening at the last minute. If you can be that kind of spontaneous, then you stand a better chance. And we're not giving you a comprehensive guide to how to beat the congestion, but just to say there are many different ways.
And if you're not limited by how long you need to stay, then the state parks and the COEs are good choices. If you can go Monday through Thursday, they're usually always booked Friday and Saturday way in advance.
Stay 4 days.
Yeah. Well, I guess Sunday through Thursday, because people start to leave on Sunday. The boondocking spots, yes, they are getting crowded, so you just kind of need to stay away from the popular areas during the popular seasons, and try not to go on holiday weekends because that's when the locals like to come to those areas and stuff like that. So yes, the boondocking areas can get crowded.
Yeah, and when it comes to holidays, if you're there for 2 weeks, which is typically the limit, if the holiday's on a Monday or a Sunday or something, then get there the week before and straddle the holiday weekend. And that way you're more likely to get a good, that's what we did, more likely to get a good spot.
That's a great tip for July 4th. That's what we did. We arrived a whole weekend before July 4th so we could straddle. We could be there and didn't have to worry about leaving and finding a new place on the holiday. So, like I said, yes, it at times can be crowded, and sometimes, like right now, no one's around us. It's just all about where you are and you decide to go, because this country is huge, it's beautiful, and there is a lot of hidden gems to see. You don't always have to hit like what the top 5 national parks
you know
are.
what? There are other big canyons out there in this country that are worth seeing. There are other magnificent waterfalls in this country. There are other mountainous areas that are not as likely to be busy. Are they all easy to get into? Maybe not, but you can do your homework and you can find places to go, campgrounds to stay in, things to do with your kids, with just you, if you're retired, all sorts of stuff. You don't have to be in congestion.
I think a big concern is full-time RV life worth it, or can you do it if you're not retired?
And honestly, we hear a lot of people say, I'm waiting for retirement, which is fine. Hey man, if that's your plan, then you have at it. If that's what God's path he's put you on, then that's great. But if you're asking that question, like, can I really do it if I'm still working? Well, guess what? We're still working, and you have a couple of big options here. But before we get to that, let's answer the basic question. Is it still worth it? So think of it this way, and I'm not making fun of either scenario, I'm just saying there are 2 scenarios. One is you're in your house, apartment, condo, yurt, whatever you happen to live in, and that's your permanent building, right? Your permanent thing. Maybe you move every 5 or 6 years, but that's your permanent thing. You live in your town, that's it. You go to the regular job, you see the same people, which is wonderful, but you do the same things that are in the same place, but you're dreaming. You're always up here because you're watching us and you're thinking about this. So you must be dreaming up here. Man, I want to travel. I want to go full-time RV. I want to travel, travel, travel. So here's the other scenario. You do travel. You pull that handle and you say, all right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this thing. But you work 5 days a week. Maybe you even work 6 days a week. What's the difference? You're going to go different places still. Even if it's only 1 day a week, you get to spend that 1 day a week. Heck, every morning, if I'm not a coffee drinker, maybe you are. Maybe you have orange juice in the morning. Go outside. Appreciate the difference. You're in a new place, new people, new surroundings. Even if you're going from RV park to RV park, even if you don't want to boondock like we love to, you're in a different park. Everything is different. Literally everything is different. And that 1 day a week that you get off, or 2 days a week you get off, you get to go do different stuff. You're going to start appreciating it.
All you have to do is adapt your travel schedule. Like if you want to explore more of an area, then instead of moving every week, try to stay 2 weeks, or instead of moving every 2 weeks, try to stay a month. And then that way you can have your weekend days, or maybe you work on the weekend and you can have 1 or 2 days during the week to explore.
And you can also, if you're not retired but you don't want to keep doing the same thing you're doing now, you could work camp, which means you're not moving as fast as we like to every couple of weeks, but you are going to new places, you're experiencing new things, you're traveling to different situations. So there are so many different solutions for you. You don't have to wait till you're retired unless you really want to.
Yeah, if you don't have a job that won't let you telework or whatever, like Matthew said, work camping, that would even if I couldn't have a stay-at-home job, like where I could work on the computer, honestly, that appeals to me. And we've met people, they're like, I work in this region for 6 months and then this region for 6 months, or there's even work camping jobs you can do for 3 months or even a month. They have Christmas tree farms, pumpkin farms, you know, the beet
Working
harvest.
at an RV resort.
Our front, if you want to do gate garden for a month, there are just so many different kind of things you can do, even a travel nurse and stuff. So many different things you can do to where you can start being a full-time RVer, or like we like to say, a full-time traveler, and not be retired yet. You don't have to wait. Is it challenging? Sure. But you just have to look for ways, like I said, to adapt, because each person's work schedule is different.
And I'm going to give you another bonus tip, and that is, with the age of the modern internet connectivity, such as it is, you have got great options. We use a twofold system. We use Starlink, especially when we're out west, but it does work out east. Not every city, because the more congested the city, the worse it's going to be. We also use a T-Mobile at-home tower. Now, our home happens to move, and you can research that whole situation. It's a bit of a mess, but they've grandfathered us in. But that doesn't mean it doesn't help you, because if you already have one, that's great. There are other carriers that have like 5G connectivity in a form of a hotspot. There's so many different ways you can get the internet based on where you want to travel. That is no longer a limitation. So if you're afraid of that, please don't be. There are so many options.
Yeah, I was going to touch on the internet. Actually, when we started this journey 4 years ago, Starlink wasn't even a thing that you could get. In fact, all we had was like an antenna and a PEP-wave router that all it was connected to was AT&T, and our phones were AT&T, so that was our only provider. So even at RV parks, it was tough. But then came Starlink, and then we experimented with Verizon and T-Mobile, like Matthew said, and forget about each year, as each day goes by, that technology gets better and better. And like he said with Starlink, as long as you're not under a tree, we've been able to, you know, boondock in places, even be in RV parks where we couldn't get connectivity. But if you have Starlink, you're going to get that connectivity. So. And
we did start boondocking before we had Starlink, so you can do that too. But
we would take our little, you know, PEP-wave router and physically take it with us, plug it up, and be like, "Hey, we're getting a signal." I mean, we tried everything. But if y'all have questions that we didn't think to answer when it comes to, you know, not being retired and still working in the connectivity and stuff like that, drop it below, and we'll try to maybe do another video going more into depth about the work life and doing travel life full time.
That's right.
Is full-time RV life worth it if you have medical issues arise? When we started this 4 years ago, we had no medical issues between the both of us.
Nope.
But the last year of our 4 years of full-time living, Matthew has started to get some medical issues that we've needed to address.
And there's stuff that you don't just go to a clinic and deal with. So what we did in our case was decide, number one, where is our health insurance good, which for us is nationwide. Number two, where do the doctors and the hospitals and the clinics, or where are they located where we should be located? And that's all we did. We went to the central area in the state, and for our sake it's Florida, but we went to where the hospitals are, the doctors are that we need for my case.
If you need something taken care of that is going to take more than just one visit, then you need, like he said, find that location, find an RV park that might let you stay for an extended period of time so you can get to those doctors.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you need health maintenance, I honestly have gotten my health maintenance, I think, in 3 different states since we've been full-time.
Really?
And that's been easy because we got a medical plan that covers us nationwide, so I can get those. Like, I don't have to fly back to Florida for my health maintenance. I can get it in Idaho, I can get it in Minnesota, you know, any state where, when it's my yearly, then I can get that done.
But they also have telemedicine and stuff like that. And
which he's done.
Yeah, I've done that. Our health insurance covers that. It's free for us. That might not be your case, but If you have health insurance that allows you to get telemedicine or that covers you nationwide, that's good. If not, we have friends who they go back to their home state once a year, once every couple of years, and they get all, in fact, a lot of people do this, and they get all their medical stuff done when they go visit home, you know, quote unquote home. And they just take care of it in one shot like that. And then they go off and travel the world. And most people are healthy most of the time, so they don't ever need anything else.
I think the other thing is to be prepared. Like, we knew that we were going to be traveling because you don't know when an emergency is going to come up.
No.
Matthew had an emergency that is separate from what he's dealing with
right now.
Currently. And he had to go to the ER, and we had insurance that covered him at the ER and stuff like that. You never know when that emergency is going to strike on the road, but it doesn't mean, oh no, I can't do it anymore, or I can't do it because of a medical emergency. They have, you know, hospitals and emergency rooms and doctor's offices and telemedicine. There is a way to still be a full-time traveler and deal with medical issues, whether it's a one-time event like he had where he had to go to the ER, or like me with health maintenance, or if you need some long-term, like you're going through treatments or something, then you just stay put a little bit longer, but that doesn't mean you're not full-timing it. One other thing, well, what about my medications? Well, if you're planning on staying at a place for like a month, and that's easy, just get them mailed, because they do have mail where you can get it shipped to your RV park, or do like I do, call the local CVS, they'll transfer it from one pharmacy to the other. And
or
then
Walmart.
Yeah, if you're not in an area where there are a lot of CVS's or Walgreens, Walmart, there's usually a Walmart everywhere. So, and those are easy to transfer from one pharmacy to the other.
And sometimes your doctor may let you get a prescription for 90 days instead of just 30 days. That would be ideal.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up. Yeah, if you can get a 90-day prescription, then it makes you last longer till you have to get it filled again. Is RV life worth it when you look at all of the things you see online, like the YouTube videos and stuff about, oh no, my RV broke, or, you know, this needs to be repaired. Even the maintenance, there is like monthly maintenance to own one of these things. And I'm not gonna lie, our very first year we had a water leak where Matthew had to figure out how to take down the wall. We even had our front cap was cracked where we had to take it back to the manufacturer to get all of this fixed.
But the reason that we're still here talking about this is because the manufacturer did fix it. It was within the first year, bumper to bumper warranty. They fixed it. The water leak, we fixed that.
We figured it out.
Yeah, that first water leak, we fixed that. And you know how? Because there's so much information out there. I guarantee you, I can 99% guarantee you that if there's a model that you have or a manufacturer that you have for an RV, somebody somewhere has either done a blog post about it, or they've done a video about it on YouTube or something else, or there's information somewhere online about how to troubleshoot it, how to fix it. You're not alone in the wilderness here, folks. You have tons of resources, including...
If anything is too scary, do not be afraid to call a mobile tech. Matthew tried to fix something. We had another leak.
Second leak.
Behind the toilet, and it was like after hours, and we were just desperate at that point because we had no water going to the RV because we didn't have a shut-off valve. It was just a mess.
And the leak itself appeared to have been in an area where there was... like underneath the bathroom where all the plumbing is, all the electric is. I'm like, I know I need to learn this, but I need a quick answer.
All this to say, you don't have to know how to fix everything, but as each day goes by, there are more and more mobile techs to where you're not going to be like, oh no, I have to take it back. You've heard all the horror stories. I have to take it back to the dealer, and they're going to keep my RV for 3 or 4 months. If it's something that a mobile tech can fix, then usually they can fix it within a day, unless they have to order parts or whatever. But at least you should still be able to have your RV at your spot, because the mobile tech will come out to you.
Either you can fix it yourself, or you can get a mobile tech, or one of my favorite things to talk about is if you're in an RV park, folks, and you raise the hood of your motorhome, or you're out there and you see people out there, you're like, man, I need help. Do you think you could just stick your head in here for a second? RVers are overwhelmingly wonderful people who love to help you. You're not going to be alone.
And I have a great example, which actually goes to maintenance. There's monthly maintenance on this thing, which means getting on your roof. Well, if you're afraid to get on your roof, or then ask somebody in the RV park. We've had somebody ask us, Matthew particularly, to get up on the roof and check because they did not feel comfortable getting on their roof. But also, if you stay on top of your maintenance, then usually you'll have less repairs because you're catching that stuff before it becomes into a oopsie. One of the things that come up when people think about is RV life worth it is the big bad fear no one wants to talk about, and that's money or cost.
As we all know, things are getting more expensive. You're shocked? Well, you shouldn't be. What's getting more expensive? Campgrounds are getting more expensive, and RVs are getting more expensive. Those are the two big hurdles that you're going to have to overcome, depending on if you don't have an RV yet and where you plan to stay. So that's the big hurdle. That's the big challenge. What do people do?
I think you can have solutions for anything. When it comes to the campgrounds, for example, a lot of people might get like a membership to like the 1,000 Trails, or I think another one is a Coast to Coast, where
and there's others.
You pay upfront fees, and there's different, scales on how much you pay, but then you get to stay in these places. Another thing you can do, because if you pay the nightly rate at a campground, they can be as much as over $100. I don't know if I've seen any that's over $200. Maybe Fort Wilderness. I don't know, y'all.
Not where we've stayed, because we don't do that.
But, for example, when we were in Montana one summer, I think the average rate was 60 to 100 daily because they were in their prime. And they're also in a short season. So when you go to a place where they have short seasons, like they have to make all their money within 4 to 5 months, that's when it's going to be more expensive. But another thing we noticed about Montana is they have pretty reasonable monthly rates. In fact, we had to stay there for a month because, can you believe it, the temperatures got like over 100 in Montana.
Was that Great Falls?
Yeah, and I think their monthly rate even included the electric. Not all RV parks are like that, so you need to ask that up front. If I'm staying monthly, does that include electric or does it not? Because electric can be separate, but we've seen it both ways, so definitely double check with the campground on that. And if you don't really want to stay for a month, at least maybe do a weekly rate, because
a lot of places do have weekly
these
rates.
are the private campgrounds. Now when it comes to the state parks, from what we've noticed, and the COEs and stuff, I don't think they do weekly rates. They're just a daily rate.
And if you are staying at like a COE or something like that, you can see if you want to get one of those National Park passes or American the Beautiful passes, especially if you're of the age where you can get the unlimited pass, the senior pass, or if you have, I don't know what all the passes are called, but generally if you have like a kind of a disabling medical condition, they have a pass for that. If you're retired military, they have a pass for that. And some of these passes enable you to get like half off.
That's what I was going to say. You can save a lot of money depending on what category that you fit into.
And also there's, if you think about staying weekly or monthly, think about trade-offs like this. Florida, for example. Everybody wants to be Florida when? In the winter time. Yep. What about Florida in the summer? You notice that a lot of places in the summer, because it gets so horribly hot here, they drop their prices by a lot.
If you're thinking, well, even a monthly stay might be an outreach for me right now, then you can always try boondocking. But the caveat to that is
we love it.
The caveat to that is the majority of it is out west. So you're not going to experience it so much in the east. So if you want to be out east, that goes back to the campgrounds and all those tips we gave you for that. But definitely, if you can be out west, you can save a lot of money on the camping fees.
Now, campgrounds aren't the only ways that things are getting more expensive. And you might ask yourself, is full-time or most time RV life really worth it these days? Well, the other big thing is the RV itself, right? RVs are not getting cheaper. It's just a fact.
No.
So how can you save money by getting an RV? I'm not going to get into new versus used. Everybody has their preference on that, so just do what you want. A big way to save money, potentially, is to, number one, do your research ahead of time. And I mean research. Don't just go, ooh, that one's pretty, and just get that one. No. You need to do research, find out, go on user boards. I guess I'm using old terminology here.
Message boards.
Go on message boards, go on Facebook, groups and pages.
Yeah.
Find the ones you think you like and see what do they complain about. Now, keep in mind, some of these groups are run by the companies, and I'm not saying that they hide stuff, but it might be harder to find problems. So maybe go on Reddit, maybe go on other places where people talk about it openly and fairly, and see what the problems are. Do your research. Find something that's not known to be a lemon after you take it out for 20,000 miles. Also, get it inspected. Oh, but I know everything. No, you don't. I promise you, most of you don't. Unless you're an inspector or you're an RV tech or you're just really, really, really good. Get it inspected. Why does that save you money? Because if you're getting it from a dealer or a private seller, you can know ahead of time, hey, the axle's bent. I mean, it's just no good. The heater doesn't work, the furnace doesn't work, the water heater doesn't work right. There's a hole in the roof. Why is water coming out of the window when I push on the wall? That was actually in an RV that we looked at, believe it or not. That's a real life example, not making it up. So if you get it inspected ahead of time, either it's going to save you money because somebody else will fix it before you buy it, or you won't buy it and it won't cost you.
Another thing that goes along with the RVs is to make sure that you do your regular maintenance. Sometimes there's monthly maintenance. Is it a hassle? It can be, but if you do the maintenance, then that's going to keep the cost down, because then you're not going to have some oops because you didn't do the maintenance on it, and then that's going to wind up being more costly. So keep up with your maintenance. And obviously, because we're talking about full-time travel life here, make sure you get the correct insurance plan, because you want to be upfront with your insurance company and tell them that you're living in it full time, because we have heard story after story where something happened and the insurance wouldn't cover it because they found out that these people were living in it full time and they didn't have full-time coverage. And yes, there is a such thing as full-time coverage because we have it. Last tip for the cost section, I'm excited about this. We've actually started using it more and more the past, I think, year, is if these restaurants have like apps or whatever, or they call loyalty programs or something. I'm gonna use an example of Del Taco. We signed up for their app and you can constantly get such great deals. I mean, so by going out to a restaurant and using their app deals, you have to order on the app. That's the thing. Me and Matthew could probably eat for the price of one by using the app instead of going there. Instead of going in there and ordering, for example, right there at the store, because it'll cost double. I mean, you just have to kind of get what their deals are.
So you're thinking about turning into a full-time RVer, but you're thinking, man, that's a lot of planning. Wouldn't you get tired of it? Well, yeah, there's a term for that. We call it planning fatigue. And it all depends on how often you travel. Let's give you a situation. We usually like to travel every couple of weeks. There are people who like to travel every 3 days, not joking. So depending on how often you travel, that's more planning you have to do, if you like to plan at all. So what gives?
I know what you're thinking, because I was in the same boat, planning fatigue. I've been waiting my whole life to just travel. That's gonna be nothing until you actually get into it, and you have to find the places that your RV is gonna fit into, whether that's RV parks. Sometimes they're sold out. State parks are sold out. So you have to like find alternatives. One of the things that we have to do as far as planning is boondocking, because with boondocking you can only stay 2 weeks at a time, so you're always constantly, during that 2 weeks, you're enjoying your spot, but then you have to plan for the next spot, and that includes a lot of, is there an RV park I can go to for a night so I can scout? But you have to have all these sites to scout, because just one site isn't good enough. You need to have like 2 or 3 backups when it comes to boondocking, because you can't reserve the boondocking spot. So you can get there and your first spot is taken, so you need to have some backups. So that's an example of a lot of planning that we have to do if your idea is to want to be a boondocker. If you're like, yeah, I'm not going to be a boondocker. The same thing with campgrounds. They can be booked up as well.
And you're not just thinking about where to go, you're looking at the weather. If we're out west and we're boondocking, we're looking at windstorms, we're looking at rain. You know, is it the monsoon season and you're in the southwest? Or are you up in the mountains and it's not quite springtime yet? There's still snow, all the dump stations are frozen. If you're looking for RV parks, are you going to Florida in the wintertime with all the, not spring breakers, what are they?
Snowbirds.
Where it's wall-to-wall people from Canada and from the north, and there are all sorts of things that go into planning, which is why I can get tiresome. So let's give these people some hope. We've talked about the ins and outs of planning fatigue. How do you battle it and still enjoy RV life? How is it still worth it to do this?
One thing you can do is take a longer break. You'll be like, oh, I just need a break. Well, you could go to an RV park for a month or stay put for a month, and then you're like, you know what, that's all I needed. I'm refreshed. Especially if you're working, you might need a little bit of a break, because working and trying to plan can pile up on you. But you can even stay as long as 6 months. You can be a work camper and stay 6 months, and then you don't have to plan for 6 months or maybe a year, and then you're ready to move again. Or
you could go to like an LTVA, long-term visitor area, if you don't mind boondocking. There are certain states like Arizona, California that have, there might be others that have a long-term visitor area in the winter. You pay a fee and you get to stay there, and there should be amenities nearby, and you don't really have to plan. It's just a big conglomerate area that you can spend the time in. What else you can do is make a friend. Now, that doesn't mean you have to caravan with them, you know, RV1 to RV2, you're too far behind me, catch up. No, I just mean meet up in point A, meet up in point B, meet up in point C. That's what we did this summer, and we were feeling the planning fatigue. And why don't you tell them how much that helped to have people take some of that weight off your shoulders?
That was the first time in our 4 years that we got to do that, and it was a really nice break, because I mean, it worked both ways. We had some sites already planned out, they had some sites already planned out, and it took a lot of weight off when you're traveling with a group, and we stayed with them for about 3 months. So that was a nice break too, because sometimes they would go ahead and get a spot, or we would go ahead and get a spot.
Leave on the same day.
So that's very nice. Definitely look into camping with friends and help them to share some of the planning burden. I mean, it's not really a burden, but
it's fun, y'all.
Yeah,
it's fun.
All of this to say that if you really want it bad enough and you really want to do it, there's always a solution for for everything. And like I said, when I first started, I'm like, planning fatigue. I mean, it could take 3 or 4 years before you're finally like, I get what they're saying. Or it could take 5 or 6 years, or you could be those people where it hits you at 1 year. Each person is different, but like I said, there's always a solution for everything. If we might have missed something that maybe you're thinking when it's coming to planning fatigue, just drop us a comment below and we'll see if we can answer that for you. All right, a big concern that we had before going full time is when you sell your sticks and bricks, then you don't have that address attached to you anymore. So what is your address going to be when you're a full-time RVer?
And you need an address for things like your driver's license and your mail, getting packages, stuff like that, your insurance, your bank account, all that stuff needs a legal address. And there's a solution. There's actually several solutions. So once you figure out what state you want to go with, all we can do is tell you what we did. We went with a group called Escapees. Escapees Mail Service, to be specific. And we chose the one in Florida. For Escapees, at least at the time of this recording, you can choose South Dakota, Texas, or Florida through them. And the way it works in a very small nutshell is you just sign up with them, you pay them for the mail service, they give you paperwork, you go down, you register your vehicles, get your driver's license and all that stuff. And for us, we did it all in a day. You know, we did all the physical legwork in Sefner. Was it Sefner, Florida? No, Sumter.
Bushnell.
Bushnell, yeah, Bushnell, Florida. I can't remember where I'm from.
Well,
in Bushnell, Florida.
He's not wrong. Sefner is where we bought the RV, but our actual address and everything was in Bushnell.
So now we get our mail, and they give us our mail. We have a package where they can scan the contents if we want them to. They can just send it on if we want them to. They can throw it away and trash it if they want it. We want them to.
And if a lot of people, if you have kids or something or relatives, if there's a certain state you want to have your address in and that's where your relative is, then a lot of times you can use your relative's address. We have heard that done as well. You're like, oh, that's great, I can get mail. But then when I'm actually on the road, you know, how do I receive this mail? There's several different ways. If you're staying at a campground, always check with the campground to see if they receive packages. Now, some campgrounds are a little weird. I was going to say weird too, as they don't accept stuff from the post office, but they'll accept stuff from UPS or FedEx. Some
are like that.
If you can't get the postal service, then a lot of times you can pick it up at the post office itself with general delivery, which we've never done that before, but we've had a lot of friends that have used it and have had success with it. The other thing is when we're boondocking and, you know, we don't have a campground to send mail to, then if there's a local business like what is it called? Like a mail
Sometimes they have like a postal annex type thing, a private business or a UPS store, or you might get a situation where it's like sometimes print shops, you know, where they let you mail, copy, fax. Believe it or not, that kind of stuff still exists. They make posters and whatnot. They may, in our experience, a lot of times double up as a mail forwarding, not mail forwarding, but a mail collection place. You pay them $5, $3, $10, whatever they charge for whatever you got, and you can use that as an address. And especially if you're in a hot boondocking area, somebody, you know, capitalism, folks, somebody's going to take advantage of that, and they're going to offer the service. So we've never been in a position where, man, we need to get something and we just have no way of getting it. There's always some kind of way.
Walgreens will accept FedEx. I don't know if they accept something besides FedEx, but we've gotten FedEx packages to Walgreens. And we've only done this once. I don't think we've done it other than one other time. We were in a town in the Bighorn Mountains, the Buffalo area, and I don't think there was anywhere for us to get mail, but we called a campground that we actually had patronized and stayed a couple nights with them before, and they allowed us to get packages there.
Don't be afraid to be the deal maker too. You can call them up and say, hey, I give you $5, you let me send your package there. I'm not going to make a habit out of it. I'm only here for 2 weeks. And chances are, the smaller the campground, the more easygoing they're going to be. And don't forget about Amazon lockers.
Oh, yeah.
Go on Google and find out where's an Amazon locker near me. So as it turns out, 4 years ago, we made the step to be full-time RVers. We had the big dreams, like many of you do, to travel the world, travel the country, roam around, be free, and that was our dream. And that's what we did, starting 4 years ago.
And previous to that 4 years, it took us 4 years of planning. So
yeah, it did.
8 years ago, we had this dream, and now we've been in this dream for 4 years. And would we do it again?
So why we did it was, as we said, we wanted to see the country, see the world. We wanted to meet people, go places. We were not in a position to take a bunch of vacations, folks. Just being honest, it wasn't our budget. It wasn't our lifestyle. So would we do that again, knowing that that's why we wanted to hit the road?
With all of the challenges that we've had, which y'all have seen the videos and stuff.
And all of the challenges that we brought up, where you might have relatives saying this, what about this, what about that? And all of the naysayers online, we've covered all those topics. With all of that, would you still do it again if you had to start right now?
Yes. Even with all the challenges, because when we lived in a sticks and bricks, I had medical issues, and the only escape was to drive down the road and go to the local park. We have met so many more people and have had formed so many friendships because of this lifestyle, whereas if we wouldn't have said yes, we wouldn't have had that. That's actually one of the best things about this lifestyle. It's not the travel, y'all. The secret is it's the people.
The people and the journey. Because when we were sitting at that park, when she had lots of medical issues, I mean, for a while, then we would daydream, oh, if we could go here, oh, if we could go there. And now we've gotten to go here, we've gotten to go there, and we've met the people, and we've done the things. And that's with working full-time. We're not retired.
Yeah.
We only get 1 or 2 days a week, 1 or 2 days a week to do this kind of thing.
But at least our view changes.
Our view changes, and we meet more people, and it's been amazing. I wouldn't have traded the last 4 years for anything.
So if you're scared, look at what we've been through, what we've overcome, and we're telling you today that we would still do it.
Where there's a will, if it's God's will, where there's a will, there's a way.
Don't let fear rule your life.
No, because you're never going to get to do it if you're just afraid.